Welcome to RVing in New England, the nation's only forum that puts you on stage with some of the biggest names in the RV industry. And now your hosts, John DePietro and Bob Zagami.
RVing in New England is brought to you by Seacoast RVs, Route 1, Saco, Maine. Come and see them. They have crop park models. They have Winnebago motorized. They have elevation park models coming soon. Go see our good friends Kenny and Amanda at Seacoast RVs, Route 1, Saco, Maine. And we want to welcome you to RVing in New England. My name is John DePietro. I've been in about 14 states today. And Bob, we made it. We made it. Let's tell our audience how this day started.
We were up at 4:00. We went down to the lobby at 5:30 to get the car so I could take you to the airport. The rental car.
Nobody knows where we were. Where were we at 4?
We were at the we were in Savannah, Georgia, at the Winnebago National Dealer Meeting. They were kind enough to invite us down because we're such nice guys, and we always have a great time down there, which we did. I told John he had a 6:00 flight. I'd take him to the airport, and then I was going to head back to Naples. Only problem was the battery in the rental car was dead, and they didn't have any jumpers. And bottom line on it was it took budget 5 hours between the time we called them that the battery was dead and the time that I was able to get to the airport to pick up a car, which put me 5 hours behind schedule to get back home. And it took me 9 hours straight through to get here. And I got here literally 5 minutes ago, walked through the house.
And we want to thank our producer extraordinaire tonight. Why don't you just show yourself, sir?
Yes, show everybody where you are, Bill.
Our friend Bill Sell.
Hello, everybody.
We always have Bill Sell engineer when Zagami's not here because I'm totally useless when it comes to that technical stuff. Not that Zagami's any better.
You don't have to add that. You don't have to add that technical stuff to the end. You could have stopped that. I'm totally useless. I do have a scoop for you, though.
Go ahead.
And got this.
By the way, we do have a great guest.
We do, Larry Brownfield. Larry
we don't want to give you a hint, but he's wearing the same.
On the way home tonight.
Okay.
The very first elevation park model home for Seacoast RVs is going down the production line right now, and it should be in Maine in 2 weeks. So if you want a park model and you want the very first elevation park model to come into New England, you better get up to Seacoast and get a deposit in there.
I don't know if I'd want the very first. Because the door to the kitchen might take you into the bathroom.
Yeah.
But
Dante's on. Hello, Dante. Frank Cates is with us, Don Hawes, and John Sensi. Thanks, guys, for jumping on there early.
But we have
seeing that you're wearing a yellow shirt, why don't you do
Walter's
the
here.
Walter just came.
Walter's here. Walter's name came up many times today because Bill Sell, our producer extraordinaire, suggested that Zagami just do the show from Walter's house tonight because it was en route from Georgia to Southwest Florida. But Zagami learned to drive faster than Walter and was able to do it. But here's what we have for a great guest tonight. We've known him for several years, and he's wearing a yellow shirt. And we don't even have to tell you what company he represents if he's wearing a yellow shirt.
The other side, Larry. The logo's on the other side.
There you go. But it's on his hat. It's on his hat.
We
want to welcome Larry Brownfield, the Senior Director of Franchise Services for KOA. And we want to let you know that Larry's going to talk to us. If you've ever wanted to own a KOA, tonight is your night. Now, this is very interesting. Larry, say hello first. And then
hello. Hey, John, Bob, it's my pleasure to be here.
Here's the cool part about Larry. He's an actual camper. And actually, before Larry got into doing what he was doing, at 45 years old, he and his wife quit their job, sold all their worldly possessions, bought a fifth wheel, and where did they come? To the great state where?
Of Maine. We started in Maine.
And he
Great place to start, right, Billy?
Right.
We got Billy McNamara up there. Now you must know Billy Larry. She's the general manager up at Loon's Haven Family Camping Resort on Crystal Clear Tricky Pond in Naples, Maine.
Well, they might know her because there's a KOA immediately next door to her.
That's
I
right.
think so. Yeah,
That's right.
So
So we started at Bethel. Bethel Outdoor Adventure was our very first work camping job in Bethel, Maine, and we work camped all the way to Southern California.
that's amazing.
So yeah, we're full-time RVers.
And he's still homeless.
Yeah. Well, no, I have a home. It's on wheels.
It's on wheels. Okay, there you go. So
how many years have you been doing that, Larry?
15?
Well, off and on since 2005. We're in our fifth rig right now, so we've been on the road, off the road, we started with a fifth wheel and went to another fifth wheel, and then we lived full time in a Class B.
What?
Like Mike? No, well, like Mike Wendland, although he's not deaf. He's not.
Yeah, but
totally
how long ago was this, Larry? You might have been
a couple of years ago.
there.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, and then we had to transition out of the Class B. We came off the road for a little bit. Then we full-timed and lived in a pickup camper. And then just this past August, we moved from the pickup camper, which we still have, to a fifth wheel again. So 5 different RVs since 2005, off and on the road.
Larry, you got to admit, your marriage was tested. 2 people living in a pickup truck.
Well, I mean, it's we could have written a book, A Life in 22 feet when we were in the Class B, and then we went from 22 feet to 10, and now we're back into 40. 40 is a whole lot more comfortable than 10.
You think?
But Larry, what we're going to talk about is a whole bunch of things, all related to camping. But
Sure.
Here's the deal. Okay, I had to fly to Savannah, and I had to leave Worcester and then go to New York and wait for 3 hours at LaGuardia Airport. Okay, then fly in a cramped 70-person jet, and repeat the same thing on the way back. Okay, Zagami had a rental car with a problem. He was 4 or 5 hours late, and I was communicating with him during the day and saying that, while he was on Interstate 75 heading down to, Southwest Florida, if he had an RV, he would have been able to do the show from the side of the road and not have to drive like Walter Swenson at speed limits that are beyond the legal limit. Yeah. But the fact is, and we stayed in a beautiful hotel when we were down there. But when I was down there a couple weeks ago, down in Florida a couple weeks ago, we were out all day long, and then we came back to our own bed, our own bathroom, our own kitchen, and I've gotten into this habit now. Every time I have to fly, I take pictures of the crowds at the airport and say, here's 475 more reasons to own your own RV.
Right.
And you were in a KOA in West Palm Beach.
Right, exactly. Where we heard the lions roar.
Yeah, Lion Country Safari, great campground. Great campground.
One of the things, when Holiday Inn was formed in like 1959 or 1960, or even earlier than that, the slogan that they used, that guy Kemet something or other, was the best surprise is no surprise.
Right.
Okay. And if you traverse I-95 or I-90 or Route 66 and you stop at a non-chain hotel, you don't know what you're going to get.
Right.
Okay. And what I saw in Central Florida or South Florida is there were campgrounds that called themselves campgrounds, but they were really mobile home parks. Mm-hmm. A totally different thing. And I was so happy that I knew what I was going to get at a KOA.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
I
That's
think
what we strive for.
the key to the whole thing, I mean, everybody wears that yellow. Many of the older, or not necessarily older units, but one of the parts that were built is they have that, what's that building?
It's an A-frame. Yeah.
The A-frame.
Yeah.
But talk about why campers, first of all, why campers should consider a KOA, what sets their properties apart. And then we'll talk about the business part of, if any members of our audience want to own one, how you can help them. And audience members, now's the time. Write down your questions, and we'll get to them in sequential order. So there you go, Larry.
Well, let me circle back on something that you said earlier, and that's consistency, or called brand consistency, in the sense that we have every one of our campgrounds has a level of standards that they're held against and actually reviewed every year in the context of quality. First of all, there are two standards by which we build everything under. And that's that our mission is to connect people with the great outdoors and others. That's our overall vision. We're not in the business of selling water, sewer, and electric and a place to park or a place to lay down and sleep. We're in the business of selling an experience and helping them connect to the great outdoors and to each other. And so that's paramount on everything that we try to do. That's the focus, that's the vision, that everything we do tries to build in the context of connecting people to the outdoors and to each other. And the other is supporting that, is that we provide a clean, safe, and professionally operated campground. And so every one of our campgrounds should be clean, they should be safe, they should be professionally operated. And there is no
clean bathrooms and clean laundry facilities too. Let me add that.
Yeah.
Because I think every camper, regardless of whether they have a 40-foot Class A diesel pusher, a pop-up, or a tent, the clean bathroom is important to them.
Oh, absolutely.
And I know you all stressed that.
Sure. And the thing that has to be understood in the context, and we can talk about the context of where we are, and is that there are many campgrounds that were built in the 70s that are old. And we tell our franchisees all the time that, the issue is, people will forgive old, but they'll never forgive dirty in that context. So
great line. Yeah.
So at that point, that's what we do: clean, professionally operated, and safe. And so it goes back to consistency. Now, in that, I don't want to speak with fork and tongue, because in that consistency, KOAs are all shapes, sizes. They're really, apart from what we call the 70s A-frame model that was thrown out and started being built, quite honestly, aggressively in 1968. Mm-hmm. Our company was founded in 62. So from 68 to 79, there was almost a cookie cutter pattern of A-frame and the way that they look. But really, since then, they're all shapes and sizes, especially independent parks that convert themselves into to KOAs.
And I think the other thing that we need to say, and I'm sure Bob would agree, that when we talk about KOA and say consistency and clean, et cetera, we are absolutely not inferring that if you're not a KOA.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, agreed. I mean,
you want to promote camping.
Right.
And,
so,
it's rising tide floats all boats.
Absolutely.
Let me run quickly down the list here to see who we've got, so that Larry's got a good flavor. We got Ryan Hadley, one of our independent mobile techs, Billy McNamara in Naples, Maine, Bob Zagami in Naples, Florida. So we got the East Coast covered, Billy. Marie Moore, good evening from sunny Florida. Jim Conboy, who owns New England RV Roof for roof restorations and replacement.
Wait. What's the more important part about Conboy?
Oh, I found out this week that he is also a Tennessee Squire bestowed upon us by Jack Daniels. And I don't know how I had missed that he was not a Squire.
Zagami, I had to break that story.
I know you did. It made the 11 o'clock news also.
I mean, I carry the show.
Jerry Plant
And
from
now
Majors
breaking news,
RV,
too.
Jim Roy from Silver Moose Restorations up there in Maine. Ryan says 40 feet, you each get your own side. And Greg Barsamian is with us. Marie says we do the same thing. Home in Massachusetts and Florida, take the RV in between the two. Haven't been in a hotel for years. Dante got it right. Consistency. Don says KOA offers consistent, awesome customer service.
Thank you, Don.
And
Thank you, Don.
Jim,
Yeah.
we're not. These are not staged.
No,
We're not setting these up.
They are in the audience. Hey, why don't we tell everybody why they don't know that Larry is also in New England?
I am.
Well, Larry, you can tell them.
Tell them why you're in New England.
Sure. I'm in Southbridge, Massachusetts. I'm here to participate in the Northeast Campground Association's annual meeting. I have the privilege tomorrow to speak with prospective owners, and then Cindy has graciously invited me to provide their keynote address tomorrow night. And then I'm teaching a class Friday on planning and business planning. And then my colleague, Nicole Poisson, will be here to manage the trade show, which starts on Friday afternoon and runs Friday and Saturday. So yeah, I'm a New Englander today.
Well, and Nicole still lives in Maine, right?
Nicole still lives in Maine. Yeah.
All right. So make sure you say hello to her from John and I, because we like to see her at Cindy's show at the Northeast Camping, and they'll have 200 or 300 of the best campgrounds in New England represented.
It's a really good turnout, strong registration. Everyone's excited to be back in person at these events.
Now, Larry, the new session, the Friday session the Thursday session you're doing, that's for prospective new owners, right?
Well, I'm among many others that are participating on Thursday, as far as people that are interested in getting into the campground business.
And that's just for people that aren't in it yet.
Correct.
Right?
These are, I think it's called aspiring owners.
Yeah. Okay. And then they're aspiring now, and then when they're become owners, they become perspiring.
Exactly. Perspiring owners. Yeah.
And I'm sure that you will be the first to tell them that because you like camping does not mean you will like owning a campground. And I'm sure Billy McNamara will tell you that owning a campground and being a camper, I mean, there are some similarities, but there's a hell of a lot more work.
Yeah. One of the things, John, is we've been doing this since 1979. KOA has offered a buyer's workshop twice a year, every year since 1979, save the COVID year. And we generally, the last several years, we've had 50 or more people in each workshop. And I stand up and I say, okay, how many of you are planning to own a campground as your means of retirement? And many times, over half the class, they raised their hand. And I said, so how many hours a week do you work now? And they said, well, 40-ish. And I said, well, so you're going to trade a 40-hour-a-week job for a 90-hour-a-week job. So, and reminding everybody, they're just one phone call away from cleaning toilets. So
that's exactly right.
It is just not for the faint of heart. And people ask me all the time, Larry, have you owned a campground? Do you want to own a campground? And I say, no, I don't want to work that hard. I mean, it's one of those situations where I've had the opportunity to run outside operations and be a part of a campground operation, but that ownership is not for the faint of heart. And I truly admire those entrepreneurs out there that back their ears and get it done on an everyday basis. And one last thing. So at one of these workshops, we have franchisees that are on a panel that answer questions. And a conferee asked one of our franchisees, what is the very best thing and what is the very worst thing about owning a campground? And the guy never missed a beat. He said, it's the people. Very best thing, very worst thing. So I'll shut up and we can go on and continue the conversation. But
But see, we'd rather be under the tree sipping our Jack Daniels rather than planting the tree and leveling out the gravel roads and what have you. But to each his own.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Go over to Jerry, Bob. We left off at Jerry.
I left off where? Jerry?
713. We stayed at the Chincoteague the week it became a KOA. No, wait a minute. Yeah, the week it became a KOA. The fresh faces and excitement was infectious.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
interesting.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have control. I was hitting it and I don't have control tonight. Okay.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Jerry Shreveport KOA still had the A-frame. Still some too.
Yeah.
It's usually you don't use infectious as a good word.
Lauren, Jerry's got a constructive criticism and suggestion. He says, truth in advertising, rename the Quechee Pine Valley KOA to Pine Pitch KOA. He said, I'm still cleaning the awning this spring. Well, Jerry, you're supposed to ask for a site that doesn't have trees above your motorhome. Now, for all the years that you've been camping, Jerry, I blame that one on you.
Yep.
Don Haas says the owners at the Gettysburg KOA are incredible. That one gets high marks.
I would agree. That's a great franchisees, second generation franchisees. I think they're actually on their third generation now.
Yeah.
Hey, is Palange camping in California?
Palange hasn't worked all winter.
Is he camping though in California?
Yeah, he's got to be camping.
Frank?
He went across.
Oh, if you're camping there.
He posted something the other day and I whacked him, and he said he did 15 states in 2 weeks or some crazy. He did a Walter Swenson trip.
No, that's 15 states in 3 hours.
You might as well have stayed in the truck stop overnight.
Right. So Frank, tell us.
Did you take the big rig with you? Let me know if you took the big rig.
Yeah.
Rick
look
Hessler,
what we got.
Managing editor from RV Business and Woodall's Campground magazine. We just spent 2 lovely days with Rick. Rick was also in Savannah.
We also saved his job.
Hi, Rick.
You know Rick?
Yeah.
Everybody knows. How can you have Woodall's Campground magazine and not know and be in the campground business?
Oh, that's right. No, well,
Ben, don't forget,
I'm having dinner with Ben tomorrow night.
Ben is really good, but Ben works for Rick.
Yeah. So we need to tell the audience a Kessler story. Larry, you'll appreciate this. Rick is a great writer, and he was interviewing the CEO and the president of Winnebago yesterday. We saw him with the little recorder, that little mini recorder there, small, half the size of a cell phone. And I said, Rick's smart. He doesn't have to take notes. This way here he can, play it back and every word is correct for quotes, etc. And then he had to leave to get an early flight. So Zagami and I were obviously there. We were much more serious because we stayed longer. And
we worked harder.
And I look over on one of the couches and there's that little mini recorder. And I said, that's got to be Kessler's. So Chad Reese, one of our friends at Winnebago, called him up and said, we have a recorder here. So Kessler says, oh, I'll come right back and get it. And I said, wait a minute, Chad, before we give it to him, let's erase everything.
Oh, don't do it, John.
Well, actually, that was Zagami's job. No.
He says, John saved my bacon. But yeah, no, Chad got it to him and he got home and had everything in his position. But, not that any of us haven't been there before, too. One time I left my camera bag with $2,000 worth of camera equipment. And this is 30 years ago on a flight, and recognized it when I got back to the terminal. And by the time I got back to the plane, I was the last guy off the plane. Time I got back to the terminal, I told the attendants. They went back and checked. They said, "It's not here."
Okay,
not here.
Somebody get to Walter. Walter Swenson. I visited 31 KOAs across the country now. Now we don't. Walter has a cross-country trip planned, I don't know if
Well,
it's still on or not.
Yeah, he's going to Grand Canyon. Yeah, it's just going to cost him
Wow.
double the gas. That's all.
Double the gas. Okay. He's got a 50.
Walter, thank you so much for being a customer, a guest. We certainly do appreciate your loyalty.
Hopefully, Larry, tell him what the KOA club is.
He's
so
our
we can save
resident
money.
engineer, Larry. When we get stuck on anything above 2+2, Walter comes to our rescue and bails us out. Frank says, "Oh, no camping."
He's at a conference.
Oh, it must be he owns a phenomenal auto repair and collision shop. You could eat breakfast off the floors. This is probably one of the most professional B&F out in Auburn, or is it
Springfield?
Springfield. Yeah.
Agawam.
Yeah, so you must be out at a high level conference for auto repair.
Stephen Fritz.
Get another vote for the Gettysburg KOA. We are work camping at Lake Placid KOA this summer. Steve,
hey,
okay.
Did you do that one, Larry?
I've not been to Lake Placid, so
okay, you didn't do that. That wasn't one of your places that you see, folks. Unless we've already said this, Larry Larry and his wife camped all across the United States over how long?
Over about a 3-year period, and then I jumped into
this is before your KOA career,
right?
Yeah,
it was actually what was able the experience and that we learned from there, and working with great operators and entrepreneurs gave me the opportunity. There was a job opening as a business development consultant at the KOA home office, and I applied, and I'm thankful that they asked me to join them. And that was I'm in my 15th year now, so that's been a while. They're keeping me, I guess.
Hey, Larry, even though we're going to talk about and you're responsible for franchise development and services, talk about a little bit about KOA's work camper program, because when we talk about work camper, people always think about Steve Anderson and the Work Camper magazine of business, but you've got your own program.
We do, and actually, a nod to Steve and his organization, Work Camper News. Carla and I were members of Work Camper News, and that's where we found our jobs. As far as that goes, we do appreciate Work Camper News, and I read that hotline every day when it came in, and our first KOA experience was working at the Branson KOA, and we found that job through Work Camper News. We were also part of the KOA Work Camper program. So we do have a Work Camper program. We currently have around 2,000 work camping couples that are registered that pay every year. It works very similar to Work Camper News in the fact that they can place their resumes in. They can get the franchisees place job postings, and we act kind of as a dating service. The unique thing about the work camping, workatkoa.com is the website, is that our work campers can take and participate in what we call KOA University Online. So the courses that are available for staff training on the campgrounds are also available to work campers so that they can receive staff training.
Larry, what was that
certification, housekeeping?
What was that website address again, please?
It's workatkoa.com.
Okay, maybe Bill can put that up. Workatkoa.com, and what will they find out there?
And there's a way to KOA.com. There's a place to click that will get you.
Okay.
You'll have to spell work for John because he's not familiar with that word. So you write it down for him. So there you go.
Yeah. So at that point, there's an annual registration fee, but that registration fee also comes with a KOA a KOA rewards card. So
yeah, hopefully Walter has that.
Why don't we do a real quick on the half hour?
Yep.
All right. This time use your radio voice, DePietro.
Oh, I already did it once while you were trying to figure it out. Okay, radio voice. This portion of RVing in New England is brought to you by Seacoast RVs on Route 1 in Saco, Maine. They are the sponsor of this show. And stop in and see them if you're looking for a crop park model, an elevation park model, which will be heading up I-95 it'll be coming across I-90
Right.
Um,
90 and up 495.
from the Elkhart area, and also the complete line of Winnebago motorized units. And that Travato that's sitting right there, it's either a Travato or no, that's a Solus.
Yeah.
We spent time in one of those yesterday meeting with the Winnebago people. And let me tell you, Winnebago has some amazing product coming out in the next few months. So new that we can't even talk about it yet. We're sworn to secrecy.
Well, yeah, we couldn't. There were a couple that they were embargoed. We couldn't photograph them. We didn't. In fact, one time I was shooting John in a video. Yeah, I was shooting one of John's interviews and paying attention to the interview, and then I looked up and I had the product right behind the interview. So I had to shut it down and say, we have to start over. They said, why? It was great. I said, yeah, but I got the XYZ product right behind the video. So somebody would know that there was something.
XYZ product. Walter belongs to the program. Thank you for Walter. Frank just renewed his KOA membership.
Thank you, Frank.
And Pat and Don and Pat Hawes. God, I'm dyslexic here. You can read that. I don't have to read them.
Let's talk about franchising, and let's talk about owning a KOA camp, which has to be a proud day for anybody that jumps into this business. It is hard work, but there's also so many great awards because we know that campers are just nice people by nature.
Sure.
And they enjoy and they socialize, and nothing better than doing it at a campground. So all yours.
There's three ways. Let me kind of back up just a moment, Bob. There are three ways that somebody can enter into a KOA franchise. They could purchase an existing KOA and hit the ground running. They can convert an independent park into a KOA if the franchise territory is available, or they could build greenfield development. They could build a KOA from the ground up through a new construction franchise agreement, because we have a design services department that will provide the design and consulting and the things that would need to be done from that end. But we believe that we're the essential partner for our franchisee. We provide everything that they need to do to run their campground: the marketing services, the technology, the training, and the support. So it's a one-stop shop. One of the things that we were described with as, we have right at over 500 locations, about 524 now. We also own and operate 43 campgrounds ourselves. That's what Oak is, owned assets of KOA. So we have them all over the country and one in Canada. So the idea is that we provide the owned properties, the corporately owned properties, provide greenhouses for testing products. We do all kinds of things on those on those campgrounds to help support our franchise services and our franchisees. So a conversion, somebody wants to become a KOA, we work with members of me or members of the development team, and they can convert. So there's I don't know how much in the weeds, Bob, you want me to get with this, because I can talk about conversions a lot.
Well,
franchise
they can convert.
Yeah, I can convert you, Bob. If you just get a piece of dirt, we'll build you one of those campgrounds. So there you go.
When you say convert an existing one, Larry, there are you can't take a rundown ramshackle place and just throw a KOA shingle up on it. I mean, you've got to upgrade the heck out of it, right?
Sure. Well, I mean, there have been conversion properties that I've been on where after I finished the property visit, I could have gone out and raised the yellow flag. There are beautiful and many, many beautiful and wonderful campgrounds across the country that would not take much or any to meet KOA standards. Then there are some that we have to develop what's called a branding plan, where they can take their campground from where it is today, and through a branding plan and capital investment and things that might need to be done on the campground, and bring it up to standards. And those are under what we call becoming a KOA. We were founded in 1962 on the Yellowstone River, right outside of Billings, Montana. Our founder, Dave Drum, realized that there was all kinds of traffic passing his property going to the Seattle World's Fair. And he would go out to the ranch and there would be people just staying offside the road on his property in tents or in their vehicles. And he got the idea of building a campground in the sense that he provided a bathhouse and running water. And at that time, there was no electricity out there. And he charged them a whopping 50 cents to stay. And the very first KOA was born on the banks of the Yellowstone River outside of Billings, Montana. We still have KOA number 1 is right there. From that inception, way back in 1962, across the country, now 56 million households, not just at KOAs, but the total camping universe this past year was 56 million households. That was a 16% increase. And the traffic on the campgrounds have been amazing. I'm sure your campground operators who are watching this show right now are saying all 56 million must have stayed at their campground this summer. I mean, it was crazy. 14 million of those camped for the very first time. That's 2 years in a row. In 2020 and 2021, 14 million camped for the very first time.
That's just under 30. That's just under 30%.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's amazing.
Yeah.
And KOA for 2 years in a row, we've had 25% ish first time campers 2 years in a row.
Okay.
Larry,
I want to stop you on this slide.
Okay.
One you see right there. Okay. And I want to scold, not you, but I need to scold the RV industry for not letting the public know the amount of money that is generated by a campground in a certain marketplace. For example, we stayed at, I'm telling you my own story, because it's the only one I can remember. We stayed at Lions Country Safari from February 18 through 28, whatever it was. Okay. And the campground fee we paid. And in addition to that, we spent the money to go into the local attractions. We spent hundreds of dollars at restaurants. We spent hundreds of dollars on gas stations. We spent hundreds of dollars on attractions. So the fact is, the industry does a terrible job of letting an individual town know the economic impact that they have on that marketplace. People have a tendency to think that, oh, that camper just comes and stays in the campground and never leaves. Hardly the case today, right, Larry?
Exactly. And this is the BEA study. There's also, and it's free, RVIA has every other year does an economic impact study and breaks it down by congressional district. Okay. So it's an amazing study. It's called RVsMoveAmerica.org. RVsMoveAmerica.org. And the whole economic impact study is there by state, by region, and like I said, and breaks it down even into congressional district. And you're exactly right, John. When you look at the RV, the impact of the RV, this is from manufacturing to sales to everything that goes on. It grew by 2.7%, contributed $19 billion to the gross national product.
Yep.
So
before we get another one, I think I haven't seen Rick Kessler may have missed it, but Rick Kessler and RV Business and Woodall's Campground Magazine, they are soliciting companies that are celebrating an anniversary this year. So, John, we should get a hold of Sasha. Is it Sashi?
Saskia.
Yeah. We should get a hold of her because she'll want to get a hold of Kessler and make sure that we have KOA in this section that they're going to do.
Sure.
And the same goes for all of our dealers.
That sounds exciting. That sounds very exciting.
60th year, we'll get KOA.
There's somebody here watching that the name rings a bell, but I don't. Scott Bear. Why do we know that name?
Hey, Scott.
But another Mainer See, we got a lot of Maine.
I wasn't thinking that his significance was that he was from Maine.
Stay tuned, John. We might have something to say about local impact at some point in the future. All right, Scott, I'll be back up in Maine probably the second week in May. So we'll get together for our lunch before July 4th.
Let me just give a shout out to Scott. He does tremendous work. That data that I just got through showing was Scott's work, and I will tell you, yeah, you've seen those figures somewhere before. Absolutely, Scott and his team does a wonderful job of research, and we actually utilize Scott and his team on numerous occasions for several different things. Even in our monthly research report, couldn't ask for anything. When they got together, we got together with him in 2015, or going into the 2015 North American Camping Report. It changed the face of data and understanding, and giving us not only KOA, but giving any campground operator actionable data to make decisions on their business. And so congratulations to Scott and his group. They do tremendous work.
Absolutely. And I give KOA a lot of credit. And I mention it every time we reference the North American Campground Report. You spend the money, you do the research, Scott does the research, you compare it with all that data, and then you give it away free. Anybody who's smart enough to contact KOA's press room or somebody in KOA, you give that data. And I encourage my dealers to get it and give it to all of their salespeople, because guess what? That's their customers. That's who they're selling RVs to. And this is what they're doing with them. And this is where they're going. And this is how long they're staying. If you're a salesperson selling an RV, do you think you'd like to have a little information like that about your prospects?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's one of those things that really one of my mentors in the industry is Jim Rogers, and Jim invested his life into those of us that were aspiring to wear yellow shirts. And one of his mantras was the fact that you make decisions based upon good research and good data. And without the good data, you can't make good decisions. It's not anecdotal. And so that was when we moved from the Outdoor Foundation research into doing our own third party, hiring Scott and his team to do it. Jim used it as the illustration of like the old Miracle on 34th Street. It was the Santa Claus, that at Macy's telling people to buy gimbals because it was a better deal. And we truly believe, I think it was John said this a while ago, as the water rises, all ships rise with it.
Yep. It really is unbelievable. Larry, did you catch, and I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but did you catch Jim Rogers and Mike Gast with Ben Quiggle on his?
I saw part of that. I had to jump off because I was in the participating with the Canadian National Conference, but I almost didn't recognize Jim with his longer hair. Yeah,
I know. I have to go back and watch it, but it was a good one.
Now, there's a couple other comments here before we go too much further.
Okay.
The Hawes folks wrote, Port La Cava, KOA, Texas, is an excellent example of a converted campground.
Right. Yeah, Port Lavaca. Yeah, Port Lavaca and Matagorda Bay. That campground started out as a new construction, got going, and then converted, and then finished out as a KOA. Great park, beautiful park down there in Port Lavaca.
Okay. Ryan Hadley says, and we're talking about economic impact again. Ryan Hadley, who's a mobile repair guy. When you go camping, it affects the whole economy around that campground. Restaurants, attractions, local businesses, and if needed, local repair shops or mobile.
There you go.
Okay. But he also asked, well, go ahead. Go ahead, Bob. You can read that one.
In
Frank.
Oh, Frank. In the surrounding community gains immensely from the campers. Campers don't always stay in the campground. That's for sure. They don't. Food stores, everything that John had said earlier. Yep. Now, Ryan does have another question there. Do you guys offer advertising on your camp maps at the campgrounds?
That's individual franchisees. Some work with map companies that sell
Southeast
advertising.
Communication. Yep.
Yeah, or they do it then themselves. So that's managed on the campground basis, campground by campground basis.
But he should, wouldn't you say, if
Oh,
if
yeah.
he's got a KOA nearby, he should at least leave his cards.
Yeah,
Hey.
he's got one out in Northampton, and there's one in no, Littleton's not a KOA anymore. Northampton, and there's a new one down in Middleburg.
Yeah.
Middleton
And-
down near Cape Cod.
And Larry, when I called Lion Country Safari 2 weeks ago because my unit was winterized up here, and I wanted to get it de-winterized, and I called Kathy, the manager there, and I said, "Is there anybody you can suggest?" She said, "Call South Florida Mobile RV Repair," and they came Monday morning at 10 o'clock. They were done at 10:30. If I had attempted to do that at a dealership, no disrespect to a dealership, but I would have had to unhook, drive to the dealership, wait, drive back, hook up again. But it was my KOA manager that gave me the info.
Yeah, that's great.
Anyway,
So Larry, what does somebody do? Because these shows tend to go kind of quickly, but if somebody's interested in developing a campground,
Sure.
and I know that from some of the statistics that you guys have published and what Toby has said also is everybody has seen a rise in new construction where we went 10 or 15 years. Nobody wanted to build a campground. It was political. There was too many licenses and what have you. But
go ahead with those figures.
Because of the dramatic change in our industry, number of products sold, we have a shortage of campsites and campgrounds. So what's the process that somebody might go through?
So at that point, let me just kind of give you the lay of the land. Last year, we sold 13 new construction franchise agreements. We currently have, as of today, 22 pending campgrounds. This is under construction, not under construction yet. I have 18 that have opened. I have 4 that are under construction. I have 22 pending at some level of permitting, financing. It's amazing. I mean, we just have not experienced this. For a long time, I tried to talk people out of building a campground. Quite honestly, it's just like, buy one, fix it up. But here, our website is ownakoa.com. Oh, there it is, ownakoa.com. Everything that you want to know about franchising in our system is on there. Whether you want to convert a franchise, whether you want to build a campground, whether you want to buy a KOA. And we even have, KOA is still looking to buy campgrounds for us. So if you have a campground and you would like to possibly sell it to us, that's the entrance. We have all kinds of financing partners. The Independence Bank has been probably our most prolific, but of course you can get financing from whomever you wish. There's a lot of SBA money now available, SBA 504, SBA Schedule 7. There's all kinds of things that are going out there now to help, not only for new construction, but people wanting to purchase campgrounds. You'll find all kinds of things on that website, ownakoa.com.
Larry, let me ask you this question. You show the numbers of stuff that you've got pending, et cetera. Can you tell me offhand some of the backgrounds of the new owner operators that you've got coming on board? How varied is their background?
It's really all over the map. It's one of those things. We have people that are coming from what I would call professional realms, whether they're in some sort of white collar or corporate job. We've got people that are coming from the school systems. We've got people coming from, we've had several that are coming from insurance agencies. We've got developers coming. We've got people coming from the storage unit, from the hotels. I mean, it's really all over the board. If you have some business acumen, you can do this. And we tell people, even if you don't necessarily have that, we can come alongside you with our business development consultants and really help you get a leg up. Let me share something real quick. a conversion campground, the first year a conversion campground operates as a KOA, on the average, the registration revenue goes up 19% the very first year. It'll go up aggregate year over year another 13% over the first 5 years.
Because
so
of
it's
brand
one of those.
familiarity.
I'm sorry, what?
Brand familiarity.
Well, yeah, brand familiarity and the marketing power, the marketing engine of KOA.
Which more than offsets their franchising fees when you
Yes.
when you look.
Yeah, and I'm okay to tell you our franchising fee is paid on registration dollars, and it's 10%. So it's an 8% royalty, and it's a 2% pooled advertising that goes with all the other KOAs. So it's an 8 and 2, and it's on registration dollars only, not on the gross. It's on registration dollars, and it's what you net on registration. So if the site is $50 and you give a 10% discount, you only pay royalty on what you take in, the 45.
Okay, I want to clarify something else. I think that's very important here, because I'm such an economic whiz, and I picked up on every word that you said. The money the fee that you pay to KOA,
yes,
is only on the money that the cost of admission.
Correct.
Right. So if you have a good business mind to run a good store or run a good restaurant, that's 100% your money.
Absolutely.
All your money.
Absolutely. It's only on registration dollars. Whatever you charge for the site rent, the tent site, or the cabin, or whatever it's on registration is what royalties
that's
are.
The admission cost to get into the place.
Great. Now, Larry, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Ryan says the other one is in Plymouth. It's Cranberry. The new one is Cranberry something down there near Plymouth, Mass. But that is a young couple, I think. And Brattleboro, Vermont, I just saw something a couple of weeks ago, and I want to get a hold of them and have them on our.
They would be great. There was a great article. Entrepreneur Magazine did a great article on that couple at Brattleboro, where they owned a campground before they bought a house.
Is Brattleboro an existing one or
yes?
A
it was an existing KOA. The length of the contract, Dante, is 5 years.
Okay.
5 years.
Thank you. Do you have some long-standing campgrounds
run by second-generation owners, aging folks who want to keep it, but now want to do the conversion as you describe? Yes.
There are many, first of all, I just recently dealt with one of the situations where it was a second generation actually passing it to the third generation, and they did a conversion because the second generation was concerned that they needed to build some structure around the third generation to assist them to move forward for success. So we have some parks that are actually KOA franchisees that are in their fourth generation. So it's the fourth generation is working on the park. That's amazing.
Now you also are working with some real estate investment people who are getting into the campground business. We've had Blue Water on, we've had Sunlight, and John's done a nice job getting some of these people on our program. But those people want to get into the campground business, and they want to build a KOA or a Jellystone because of that structure.
Sure.
So as they learn the industry, they've got the years of experience that you bring to it and your management programs. And some of them have gone on and started campground outdoor hospitality divisions where for 20 or 30 years they built hotels and motels.
Sure. And we have a number of companies that we work with that are coming from the hotel industry. From right now, one of the new players in our space are coming from the storage industry.
Really?
The people that weren't, because storage has saturated.
Yeah. Well, I know we don't have enough time for me to jump into that, but the idea is that right now, because quickly, from what I understand, at storage for a while, the cap rates are running about 4, then they can jump into campgrounds at 8, and so they're actually making twice the money. So people are looking at it from a capitalization standpoint. So the market has changed, ownership has changed. We're getting more and more developers, what I call corporate type developers, moving into the play space. Right. We still have a number of mom and pop shops that are still in the play space too.
Yeah, so, Larry, have you seen a trend? And one of the, do you know Bob and Sandy Brown Lone Oaks campsites in northeastern Connecticut?
No, I'm afraid
they will probably be at the conference.
Oh yeah. He was they were president of the
campsite. They have their own RV service department. Their son started it 3 or 4 years ago, and I've tried to encourage the campgrounds up here to take a serious look at that.
Yeah.
Everybody on the site is a prospect. Everybody in the campground, but they actually have people who schedule their summer vacation in the campground and have a new awning put on or new air, and it's done right.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
All automated. You might, as you go through some of your talks this weekend with these campground owners, I think it would be another great revenue source for KOA, because there are not enough technicians. Nobody's going to complain on whatever we can do in this industry to get more technicians. But even if it's just 1 or 2, and even if it's just easy repairs, there is a revenue stream out there for campgrounds.
Yeah, Terry Cooper can't push him out fast enough down there. Right. He really can't.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bob, did you see our Daytona correspondent chimed in there?
Yeah, Michael DePietro, the show starts at 7 o'clock, not 7:47. And the rule is, if you dial in late, if you come in late,
you have to apologize.
If you look up in the notes, you'll notice that you are to apologize to our fans and to John and I if you're coming into the show late. So please respect that in the future.
In the future, if you want to work with us.
That's right. If you want to
work with us,
you want to get to the big stage someday, Michael.
Larry, you've got a busy next few days.
I do.
Coming up, and we'll probably be out there either tomorrow or Friday.
You'll probably be out there tomorrow,
right? To meet in person. Yeah. Because I'm more serious about the industry than Zagami is, and I'll get there in person, shake hands. And
Zagami paid his dues, and I'm still trying to teach the people the game.
Yeah. So Larry, if people want to reach you directly, do you want them to reach you directly, or do you want them to filter in?
My email is real easy. It's lbrownfield@koa.net. Net. Okay. So lbrownfield@koa.net. I'm always available. I'm happy to receive your emails, and just if you have any questions, also if you have any questions about franchising, ownakoa.com is the best way to. It's at least the entry point to get you the information that you might need.
Well, so I want some of these people to jump in there, because we do not have enough KOAs in New England. I think we only have like 5 or 6. We don't have any in Rhode Island. Connecticut needs a few more. Massachusetts, needs some. I mean, there's just open season up here for opportunities with KOA.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Yep. And the beauty of it is the roadmap is already mapped out. All you have to do is listen, Larry, do you ever run into people that come in and become a franchisee, and then they've been in it for 1.5 years, and they then know more than you? Meaning, you should change that. You should change that.
Well, the thing is, lots of times people bring great ideas to the table. One of the things that we talk about in our 4 pillars is the 4th pillar of our franchise is family. And, sometimes families get along and sometimes they don't. But the idea is, the end of the day, we're all still family.
Yeah. And I've got a quick question. We just have a few minutes left, or a few seconds left. Total investment. Isn't that all based on?
Yeah, it's based upon that's all over the board. It's based on the size of the property. Yeah.
Site construction, types of units. Yeah. One thing, back to your point though, Larry, I'll share one of the items from the Winnebago conference that was not classified. I won't give the total number, but they have a program internally at Winnebago, and they got 7,800 employees where they can suggest changes in their operations and in their productions. And they had an incredible amount of entries from their employees. But the number that was important was they instituted 96% of
That's
the
amazing.
suggestion. It is. And it
By
was
the
a
people on the assembly line.
big number. Let me tell you, it was a big number. And 96% of them were good enough to get into the, so they're, again, they listen to the employees. They got a great corporate culture. But I looked at that number and said, man, I've never seen it that high anywhere. I don't care who the company was.
Yeah, that's amazing. Congratulations to them on that.
Yep.
Well,
There we go again. An hour.
Boy, time flew. That was fast.
Yeah.
Of another show.
Hey,
And,
I want to thank you very much, Larry, for taking the time, coming in town and all that other stuff on your schedule. But we love KOA, and whenever we can get you guys on and gals, we want to do that. But
well, thank you again so much, John, Bob. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
All right.
So we want to tell everybody that this show has been brought to you by Seacoast RV, Route 1 in Saco, Maine, with Park Models, and Winnebago Motorized. And they also have a great company store for anything you need for your RV, whether it be decorative or cooking wise. They have propane. They have everything imaginable.
And
they're
great
really
service,
nice people.
and a great service department.
And a
Works
great
on
service
anything
department
from
as
a pop-up camper to a diesel pusher.
Right. And they're right across the street from a KOA.
There you go.
Saco, Maine.
Right.
Right.
You could walk. You're right. You could walk across the street from the Saco KOA.
Yep. Yep.
All right.
Have a great
Thanks,
day, everybody.
We'll see you down the road, and we'll see you next Wednesday.
And I'll see you tomorrow or Friday.
I'll look forward to it.
Okay, great. Thanks, everyone.
This edition of RVing in New England was a presentation of the New England RV Dealers Association. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram.